As you might imagine, very little media has been consumed between yesterday and today. So, however, I can tell you, I have continued listening to the Iliad, and my God, I think probably one of the biggest takeaways of that is like, just don't trust the gods. It's like, man, trusting the gods is like feeling good about good fortune, which is absolutely unreliable. And it's like people. These characters celebrate being in favor with the gods, and being in favor with the gods just means that you are part of some intention they have at this moment in time that might have nothing to do with your well-being, and probably doesn't. I'm thinking specifically about Hector, talking about the Iliad. I don't know if I specifically said that, but yeah, like thinking about Hector and his victory and his success under the sort of auspice of Zeus's blessing, which he believes has to do with the inevitable victory of Ilium over the Argives, the Greek invaders. And it in fact has entirely to do with the fact that Zeus is making the Greeks fail because Achilles is in good shape. And Evening Time Zombie, it's good to see you. No space spiders. There are things with tentacular legs, and well, spiders aren't tentacular, but you know, the creepy crawly things. So they have those, but they're not spiders. So if this is a category thing, then you're safe. If it is a resemblance thing, you'll be fine. But yeah, no, the entire reason he's supporting Hector is so Hector can make the Greeks look bad, because if the Greeks look bad, then Achilles looks good, and then Achilles will get his moral revenge for his indignation at Agamemnon's hands. Anyway, Hector's only be supported because he is going to be set up for somebody else's fall guy, and it's just like, oh my God, the gods are horrible. Oh man, you know how would spiders spin their webs without gravity? I wonder if there's something in there about you know, like spiders on caffeine spin webs that are like squares and stuff like that. I don't know. Spiders in space. What would spiders' webs look like in space? No, I mean this is pretty much it. It's been pretty media slim lately. I am talking about the Iliad, which is an audiobook I'm listening to. But actually, as a matter of fact, as you might recall from a previous stream where we talked about Shadow of the Colossus, and I mentioned listening to that. I mean, maybe a spider stowed away on a ship in space. It seems like the sort of thing that it would mutate upon re-entry and, you know, become sort of horrifying in a way that you uniquely might despise, hating spiders in particular. But no, the Iliad is it's fantastic, and Hector is such a compelling character. You simultaneously cheer him on because he's easily the most likable of all the heroes. He is the most relatable because he is easily a B-tier hero. He is absolutely not a match for any of the Greeks' top-tier heroes. And at the same time, you also pity him because you know that he is just being used by the gods to make Achilles look better. And yeah, it's almost like he's a cow being fattened for the slaughter in terms of reputation. So yeah, I'm on book 16, and it's fantastic. I recommend it. Evening, Swedish X and Shelter Mix. It's great to see you. Thank you for the good luck. I think that we're gonna do well tonight. And that well-wishing only makes it more likely. Oh, snap, really? That is... It's kind of nuts. I can't believe that. Well, yeah. So that's pretty much it for the... That's pretty much it for what I've been doing that's not video games. Evening, Iceman Dance. Good to see you. Yeah, Homer's fantastic. One of the things that I really like about the poetic technique is this is a particularly interesting way of doing repetition, where the gods will talk to Iris the messenger or Hermes, and they'll give this very precise almost rhetorical argument style of command of message that they want that messenger to send, and Homer will have the gods say that, and then Iris or whatever the other sort of messenger deity is will go there, and Homer will just repeat the words exactly, showing that the messenger is verbatim passing on that message. And it's very interesting as a poetic technique to I don't know if it's like to reinforce memory or a characterization, but I'm actually really interested to see if there's any kind of critical writing done on that, what it means, if there was an oral poetic technique involved or what. But yeah, it's really cool. Achilles versus Hector. I mean, I think it's pretty. I mean, Achilles basically has the universal invincibility buff except for my heel, and that right there sets him apart. As far as ability, I mean, you know, there are a number of things. As far as ability goes, they might be equally matched. I have yet to get to that conflict yet. At the same time, when Achilles and Hector fight, Hector has literally been fighting for, I don't know, like weeks, months, and Achilles has just been sulking in his ship like a big baby. And so Achilles is a little fresher than he is. Yeah, no, the reinforcing of memory is important, and it's really interesting how even in written poetry that translates into effective poetic technique of repetition and as a way of reinforcing ideas. It's kind of like double negatives as a grammatical structure, as a logical grammatical structure don't make sense, but as a rhetorical verbal structure do, because when you use a double negative, you actually reinforce the negative aspect of it. This is actually really common in Old English and even Middle English, where a double negative will appear in a sentence. You know, maybe like a colloquialism in modern English would be, I ain't got no gas in my truck, which means I really don't have any gas in my truck. So it's just like it's an emphasis rather than a logical statement. And looking at language as an emotional artifact, that makes sense. Oh man, Swedish X. Yeah, the Odyssey is probably the most picturesque of them, honestly. Wow, that's a lot of flashing. The Odyssey is the most picturesque. The Iliad is the most gruesome by far. So if you're looking for something that's a little on the Mortal Kombat side, the Iliad is definitely your pick. Shelter Mix, yeah, I think that is not inaccurate, given that the Bard was you know, the Bard, poetry, creation, and the voice were all very much a unified concept. Evening, Dustin. It's good to see you. Necrospace has been good. It's very scary and it has a great atmosphere. I've come to the conclusion that it is a very scary horror game, but does not feel like a Halloween game because it doesn't have enough ghosts for my liking. Yeah, Achilles is probably objectively the better win. It's just Hector is just so much more likable, in my opinion. Yeah, he would also, not just by their name and adding a bunch of adjectives or titles, he would also describe their patrilineage and what lands they had inherited, any kind of noble deeds done by their fathers of note, and any kind of claim that they themselves have to fame. So it's he heralds many of them, and it's amazing how much detail he goes into for figures that are sort of insignificant in the overall scheme of things. But I think one of the effects that has is it really hits home how personal war is when you actually take stock of all the combatants. I think about you know, there are some there are pieces of writing about, you know, like, what if you got into the heads of, you know, all the soldiers that you kill in Metal Gear Solid and all these NPCs that you just gun down and these grunts. Well, Homer actually does that in the Iliad. He gives them a name, he gives them a destiny, he gives them a homeland, and that's the effect that it creates. So if you've ever wondered what that would be like in a colossal battle or a Muso game, then the Iliad is your jam. Inspiration for this game? Subtext, Scientology in space is scary, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Space Scientologists are scary. For not the least which reason in this universe is that they're right. Which is the funny thing, is that they're not, they're maybe maybe one of the worst outcomes for a zealot, religious zealot who is you know, wrongly pushing us toward destruction is a religious zealot who happens to be objectively right, and the horror of the universe is on their side. So, that's something. Yes, he was the sorrow. And actually, that's the River of the Dead in Metal Gear Solid 3 is it felt like a very Homeric thing because, you know, many great old epic hero quests involve going through the underworld and seeing shades of the dead, and that felt like just like a page out of that book. It's one of the things that I think made Metal Gear Solid 3 such a great universal feeling story.